Hello, SASH staff. It's Amy here. How are you? I'm going to provide a little demo of the iPads that have been donated to us by the BPQHC. So this will give you a little bit of information about how to use the iPads. I'm going to show you the iPad. I have a separate webcam that I'll be doing that on. Then I'll also show you some of the resources on STAR. So first of all, you can see here on the STAR page, we have a whole bunch of different information on the technology and telehealth page. So if you go to shared resources and all the way down to technology and telehealth, that's where this page will open. This video will be on there, so hopefully you found this page by now. We have the SASH connection through technology training that is on Relias that you can take. And then the iPad demos, this will be replaced by this video. Under desk aids, we have the full desk aid manual, which is all of the desk aids that are located below that all in one document. And at the very bottom of that, you'll also see the troubleshooting document for all of SASH. And then as we get information for DROs, we'll put DRO specific troubleshooting information here. We also have a flyer or infographic that you can post up in your buildings for your participants to let them know about the iPads and the loaner program that is involved in your building. And there's a space at the bottom to put in your contact information. We also have this COVE. COVE has, the Community of Vermont Elders has agreed to provide support to participants. So if a participant is using an iPad and they are having difficulty and you're not available to help or you don't know how to help them, they can contact this information. And this is on the troubleshooting documents as well. Under support materials, we have first a letter for participants. This is a letter that explains to them what it means to take out an iPad. You can customize that to your site as well. Below that is a letter for providers, letting them know that we do have these iPads available if they wanted to set up telehealth or telemedicine visits with their participants, with our participants. There's some information about internet safety, and then also options for low-cost internet. So if a participant does not have internet, that they could find options to sign up for it. And then over here, we do have two other things, resources for our participants around use of the iPad. So first, the Aging Resource Center at Dartmouth-Hitchcock is allowing our participants to sign up for classes and use the iPads with them, which is fabulous. And then My Healthy VT, which is all the evidence-based programs, the chronic disease, chronic pain, diabetes prevention, diabetes management, all of those are accessible online now. And that's a really great way for participants to use the iPads. So what I'm going to do to show you use of the iPads is to go through the iPad manual. I'm going to use the full version. All of those desk aids that are listed in there in STAR, you can choose to have any of these in the bag that goes with the iPads with the participants. Or some of them are just for you, but some of them are for participants. So you can print out the ones that make sense, edit them as you want. It's totally up to you. So let us know if there's any way we can support you in that. When you got your iPads came with this bag. In the bag is a notebook and some wipes. And when we'll talk about cleaning the iPads, actually physically sanitizing them, these wipes can become important. There is only 10 wipes in here, so you may want to purchase additional ones so between participants that you can clean off the iPads. So I'm going to switch my camera now and show you the iPad camera and then go through the desk aids along with showing you how to use the iPad. So give me one moment. Okay, so we have our iPad here and we have our manual that I'm going to go through page by page. So the iPads themselves come with this really handy little cover. These covers are, first of all, magnetic. They can come off. So watch, it's magic. Boom, it's a magnet. It just pops off and you put it there and it'll pop right back on. So you know they're a magnet cover. They also can serve as a stand. So if you fold them up into a triangle like so, you can stand the iPad up. And then if you're doing it the long way, and sometimes it even works on the really long way. I prefer not to do it that way personally, but it can serve as a nice little stand. The other thing to know with all these iPads, there is no protective coating on them. So when we got the iPads, they did not give us a protective shield. So if you and your panel want to purchase those, feel free. Just know that if somebody drops these, the screen may break. It does put them at, they're a little bit more sensitive to those things. So as much as possible, be careful with the screens and let participants know that it does not have a screen protector on it. Okay, so when you turn on the iPad, first of all, you also got a charger. The charger is in the bag with your iPads as well. It will look like this. So you're going to plug this into the wall, and then you have the lightning cable, and the lightning cable gets plugged into the bottom of the iPad into the little slot that matches that. It's where the fingerprint button is. It's right below that. This also serves as a USB. So if you take this out of the charger, it's a USB cable that can go into the USB ports on your computer. And this comes into play when we talk about backups and restores. Okay. So let's do a little diagram. So we talked about turning it on. So if your screen is black like this, how do you turn it on? Well, you can turn it on one of many ways. If it's already turned on, it just needs to be like refreshed. Just click the little button at the bottom and the screen will come on. If the screen doesn't come on, you'll want to turn it on. And the power button is here at the very top of the iPad. It's a little push button. If you hold this down, an Apple will show up. And this screen, this desk aid that I have here will shows you how to do this. So this may be one of the desk aids you give to participants. In terms of what is in the iPad, let's do a diagram of all of the buttons. So when you turn it on, there is this status bar. It tells you how much battery power you have, the percentage of battery. There's a clock with the date, and on some of them it will have the SASH logo. At the very top, we showed you where the power button was. We also have the camera. So if a participant needs to take a picture of something for a doctor, there's a little camera. It's a little hole at the very top. If you need to switch the camera, it will focus this way, but the camera on the other side, it's also another little hole that's at the top of the iPad. On the side here, you'll see two buttons. This is the volume up and down buttons. We also have at the very top a hole, it's a very small hole, so I don't know if you can even see it. There it is. That is the microphone for the iPad. It doesn't mean somebody has to hold the microphone up to their mouth there, but this will pick up their sound. And on the bottom of the iPad is the speaker. So if they're holding it against the short side, against their body, they won't be able to hear it as well. So this is the speaker. And as we said, that is the port where you plug in to charge the iPad. And so they can also take this off and just use the iPad itself if they want, or you can magnetically attach it back on. Okay, I think I've covered, oh, and there's also a headset jack. So on the top end where the power button is, on the other side, there's also a little jack for headphones if people want to plug in their own headphones, especially if they have trouble hearing and they want to turn the volume up and it's not loud enough, they might want to do that. Okay, so let's move on to the next page. Connecting to Wi-Fi. So in thinking about your participants and Wi-Fi in your buildings, I pointed out the internet options that are on the technology and telehealth page. You may want to use that as an option for them, or maybe you have Wi-Fi in your building. Whatever the case is, they will probably need to do most things to connect this to Wi-Fi. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And I'm also going to log in and show you how that process works. So when I hit the button on the iPad, it's going to turn the screen on. But you're going to see I can't really do anything because it's not set up. So if I click this, it's going to show this screen and it's going to ask me to enter my passcode. So what I'm going to do for the passcode for this one, I'm going to enter the passcode and then I'm going to hit done. When I hit done, that will bring me into, it should bring me onto the screen, but I already had another screen open. So it should bring you onto the top of the iPad. This is where all the icons or apps are. So you'll see lots of different apps on here. And if you scroll to the left, it'll bring up this little, it's kind of like a status bar that gives you the date, the weather, and all of those other things. Right now it thinks I'm in Cupertino and it's 41 degrees. Haha. So if I want this to go away, I just swipe to the side. At the very bottom, these are icons that Apple says are ones that you typically use. So that's why they're down here. You'll see also here these two little dots. What this means is that there's like two landing pages. We have this landing page with these icons. If we move our finger and pull it, just pull it lightly to the right, there's more icons on there. And now we're on the second page, just to give you an idea. And I'll go through a lot of those icons as we go through this training. So let's connect to Wi-Fi. So the first thing we want to do is go to the settings button. It looks like a little like gear right here, and it says settings on it. It's gray. You'll also see it also at the bottom here. I've moved mine around, so yours may not be in the same place. So you want to click on whatever one of those that works for you. So we're going to click on that settings button. And then you will see that first of all, you should know I'm already connected to Wi-Fi. And I can tell that because up in the corner, it has the battery power, which for me is 94%. And then next to that is those little Wi-Fi signals. So I've got a strong Wi-Fi connection right now. On this settings page, you'll see this Grandway tablets. This is because the tablet I'm using is a Grandway tablet. Below that, you'll see it says Wi-Fi, and it says right now that I'm connected, and that's connected to my own personal Wi-Fi. You may not have that, but if you want to connect to Wi-Fi, first of all, you click this little button, which will turn it off. That's Wi-Fi is off, that's Wi-Fi is on. And then it'll show you all of the different options that I have in my neighborhood for Wi-Fi. And I can choose which one I want. I just click on it. You'll see there's little locks. If I click on it, I can put in the passcode and then it'll connect. And once it connects, it'll show a little check mark. So you can follow the desk aid that I have here on the screen in order to connect to Wi-Fi. I'm not going to go through all of those steps with you, but this will walk you through it. And for participants, there's maybe another printout that you have in their bag to help them connect to Wi-Fi if they need help with that, especially if they're going to be using it in a different location than in the building or by the Wi-Fi that you have accessible in your building. Okay, next is about creating an email address. For many of the things that participants are going to be doing within the telehealth realm, they'll need an email because a doctor or provider will email them a link to a Zoom or some other link to another platform or software package to connect. So I have taken you in this desk aid through how to set up an email address. On the iPad, if they want to do it through the iPad or they want to connect to their email, at the very bottom, you'll see there is a little envelope in a blue box. This may also be in another place on your iPad top. So I'm going to just touch that lightly. And you'll see it says welcome to mail, and it gives me different options. So depending upon the email that the participant has, they can connect using one of these different ones. I just have to click on it. So for instance, on the desk aid that I have in the screen, I ran you through how to set up an email address through Google because it's one of the simplest and most common email addresses. So if I was going to either connect this iPad to their email or set up an email for them for Google, I would just click on Google. It'll say, do you want to sign in, continue? And then you would put in all of your accounts. Or if you haven't set one up, it says create account here, just like it does on the screen here, creating account. So please, when you're setting up email address for participants, number one, know this can take a while because they may want an email address that is already chosen. So I do have in here suggestions for number 3 of ways that they can choose different email addresses that may be unique and not common, which may be a little bit easier for them. And then 2, some of our SASH coordinators are also making a note of the email address that the participant has and keeping a note of their email and password just in case the participant also later needs that information or needs help. You scroll through this, it takes you step by step with screenshots, how to create an email address. And then the next part of this, I also have how to reset an email address. So after you've created an email address, how do you reset it if they forget their passcode? So they may already have an email and not remember what the password is because they've always used it on their computer and they haven't used it on another device. So if they're going to use it on the iPad, they would need to do that. So this tells you how to reset email addresses, or at least for Gmail, I should say. Every email address will be a teeny bit different. So please make sure to do a check or a search online to find that out. Okay, so I'm going to get out of that. And now let's talk about some of the apps that we have on the iPad. First is the camera. So the camera app is really easy to find. It looks like a camera. And this may come in handy if the participant wants to, is asked by their doctor to take pictures of something, or if they're working with their children or grandchildren and they want to take a picture of everybody, they can do that. So you would click on the camera app, and what's happening right now is it's black. Well, that's because the camera is hidden because of the little cover that we have on it. Remember, the camera is at the very back. It's at the front, but it starts at the back. So you'll want to open up the back and you'll see I have a Post-it. That's what it's taking a picture of right now, right? So if I were to take a picture of that Post-it, I would hit the little camera button. And right below the camera button is where you can find pictures. And there's the picture of the Post-it that we just took. Let's say that I want to turn the camera around to take a picture of myself. So I don't want it to look down, I want it to look up. This little arrows that's in a circle, if you turn it around, and you'll see how I have the webcam for the iPad connected to my lamp. So that can take a picture of that, or whatever else you want to take a picture of, but it'll be facing up. Now let's say that you also want to find that picture. Well, where did it go? Do I have to open up camera again? No, it actually is in photos. So if you click on the photos button, there is my camera that I took, my picture I took of the Post-it that you can access. Okay, we went through the email and talked about that you can access email through the mail, the little mail icon at the bottom. So they can get, if they put in any of their email addresses, they can access it through that mail icon. But they do have to download or put in their email address in their password. App Store. So let's say there's an app that they're looking for, you're looking for, well, they have it. They're welcome to download apps. Just know that some apps have a cost associated, but many apps are free. So if you click on the App Store, it will bring you into the screen where some apps are. So let's say that they want to download TikTok and look at TikTok videos. TikTok's a free app. They could do that. So they want to play Solitaire or Angry Birds. Those are typically free games. They could do a search for those and find them and download them to the iPad. Next, we have Safari. So Safari is right down here. This is a search engine that is through Mac products. For those of you who have iPhones, you might be familiar with this. It is like a Google, but it's for Macs. So if you click on Safari, you can do a search. And right now it has a Google screen on there. But you can do a search with Safari. You can also add Google on here as an app and do searches with Google. However works for you and for the participant while they're using it. Okay, next let's talk about some of the apps on the iPad that are for meetings, because these are things you'll typically be using the iPads for. So if we go to the first one on here, which is the most common that people are the most familiar with, let's talk about Zoom. So the apps on here for meetings we have on the second page on this one. They may be different on yours, or you may need to add these on yourself, which you can do through the App Store. So first I have Zoom right here. If you have questions about Zoom or how to use it or troubleshooting, on here we do have, I did upload videos for how to use something for the first time and then troubleshooting for each one of the typical meeting apps that may be on an iPad. So you can go through here and do a search for those, or you could, this may be another document you have in there for participants. So we have Zoom, we have, so Zoom is right there. We have Google Duo, which is right here. We have Google Meet, which is right here. We have Skype. Some people are more familiar with Skype. We have Skype there, and this is Skype for Business. They're both pretty similar, but doctors' offices may use one or the other. We have Microsoft Teams, and Microsoft Teams is right there. Some of the icons may look slightly different than what's on the screen. We have FaceTime. FaceTime is a common app on Mac products. It's a Mac product app. It's on the first screen, so it's right there. We have WebEx Meeting or WebEx Meet, which is right there. And then we have Doxy. And I don't see Doxy on here. So let's say that I want to add Doxy. I'm going to take you through adding an app. So let's demonstrate downloading something from the App Store. So if I go to the App Store, let's say that I want to download Angry Birds. Let's say a participant wants to put Angry Birds in here. So I'm going to type in Angry Birds. And there's Angry Birds. We got lots of different options. So let's say I just want your basic Angry Birds. And showing me all the different things. And there's a Get button. I hit that Get button. It's asking if I want to install it. I'm going to click on the install. this is where you need your passcode for your Apple ID. So when your iPad is set up, it'll have an Apple ID, which is like an email address, and then a passcode for that Apple ID. So you'd want to make sure to put in your passcode. I dropped mine. Okay, so I'm going to put in the passcode for this one. So give me 1 second. So I put in the passcode. I'm going to click sign in. And now it says done. So that has been added. So where did it go? I'm going to click on this little button. And it typically adds it to the last page that's on your screen. And you'll see right now it says loading. So it's loading that game onto the screen. And as soon as that is loaded, then the name of it will show up at the bottom. So this could take a couple of minutes. Sometimes it takes a little longer depending upon your internet speed. But that's how people can load things. It's very easy to load that. And then when we do the backup process, all of the things that they've loaded and pictures they've taken will disappear. So it's okay if they want to load things on there. It's just the cost factor that you need to be aware of. Okay. So now let's talk about cleaning and disinfecting the iPads. This is how do we physically, oh, you can see now that a game has been loaded, Angry Birds 2. So I would just open that up and make it play. So cleaning and disinfecting. We talked about the wipes that were in your bags. These may be what you use to clean and disinfect the iPad at the beginning. But like I said, there's only 10 of them in here, so you probably would want to purchase some more. You can get these at local drugstores, and I think also through a lot of the office supply stores now. So follow the directions here in terms of cleaning and disinfecting. And what I'm recommending to staff is when somebody returns the iPad, that somebody's there to kind of check it in, make sure they're returning the iPad, the little screen protector piece here, and the bag, and they're giving it back to you. And maybe you're putting that somewhere in your office that's like the spot where the iPads go before they're cleaned and disinfected and restored. So you'll put it there, you will clean it, physically clean it, sanitize it, and restore the iPad before you give it to the next person. And we'll talk about what the restore process looks like in a second. Okay, so backups. When you have the iPad, right now we've added an Angry Birds. So I'm going to go and I'm going to delete Angry Birds. I'm going to show you how you can delete apps just from the screen. So if you click, put your finger on it and you hold it down, it gives you a couple of different options. So one, the X's may show up. If those X's show up, just hit anywhere on the screen and they'll go away. But if I hold it, my finger down on there, it says delete, share, or edit. I'm just going to delete it. I'm going to hit the delete button again. And now that's gone. It's gone into the trash. I don't have to worry about it. Now say that I want to do a backup of this iPad. What is a backup? A backup, as you can see on here, it allows for information. So each iPad must be restored per HIPAA between users. So this allows for information such as passwords, pictures, and login data that's shared by a participant to be removed from the iPad and then ready to be used by the next participant. So it will take this iPad, take all of the personal stuff they put on it and delete it. A restore of the iPad is done via iTunes. A master backup of the iPad data is done once. It must be completed before the iPad is used. This backup is to be done by either the Dro IT team or the SAS staff person. Check with your Dro IT team beforehand if you don't know if a backup has been completed before. You can skip this if you know that it's already been backed up. So once your iPad is set up, put everything on there that you want, all of the different apps that people might use and other things. And then you want to do a backup of it. So it'll take all of the information and all of the stuff that is on there and make like a clean copy of it. So if a participant uses this, takes pictures, puts in other apps or whatever, they give it back to you, you can what we call restore the iPad to the backup copy, to that original copy you made before anybody used it. This is really important. So please make sure before you give this out that you're doing a backup copy of the iPad, and that will make us also be HIPAA compliant and remove all of the passwords and things. So please follow the process that is on the screen to do a backup. You need to have Apple iTunes installed on your computer. You need to do a backup for each of the iPads. It's not one backup for all the iPads you have. Each one needs its own backup copy. So This process will take you through exactly step by step with screenshots how to do a backup. Then you'll do a restore. So once a participant has used it, they've used it for whatever reason, they give it back to you, then you want to restore the iPad to the version that was on there before the participant took it. So to perform a restore, this shows you step by step again exactly how to do a restore of the iPad. Follow this step by step. Then we have troubleshooting. This is where the iPad maybe won't turn on, or is there a problem with it? One of the little things I also discovered is that if someone's hands are cold or dry, that this won't, the little finger sensor won't recognize their fingers and they won't be able to scroll. And we know some of our participants, just as a factor of age, their hands may be old and dry. So we want to, if they want to put lotion on, great. We don't want the iPad either covered with lotion, but that could be a reason. Who do they connect with support? There's information here about who they should first contact. You can put information in here about your local IT team for them to call. Then we have the Community of Vermont Elders. And then that SASH IT support number, we would rather use that as as a last resort, because that we're not going to be checking that as frequently, but we're happy to help if need be. So Cove, your local IT team, and then you guys may be able to help them out in the initial stages of questions that they may have. And remember this iPad troubleshooting page, and this is generic. We do have one on there right now for Cathedral Square because we have an intern helping our Cathedral Square participants. If you guys have additional IT people that you want to add in for yours, I can create a page that has your specific troubleshooting document that you can just have live on that page as well. So this is our, my kind of quick iPad demo for you. Hopefully this was helpful. If you have additional questions, you can email us and we'll do our best to help, and have a fabulous day. Thanks, folks. Bye-bye.